Almost good.
Okay, we ready? All right. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to our Tuesday, January 10th City Council Business Agenda. I will now call the meeting to order. Our Pledge of Allegiance, an invocation, if she so desires, will be led by Dr. Burrs. Thank you, Dr. Burrs. We have no special presentations this evening. I will accept a motion on the minutes. I have a motion to approve the minutes. Without objections, they will stand. Order of business for City Council this evening. Ordinances on final reading, Council Office, item A. Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance passing ordinance number 13920 entitled, an ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 35, Section 35-160, billing and charges for district work records, which is attached hereto as amended after a second reading on December 6, 2022, pursuant to Chattanooga City Charter, Section 11.6, following receipt of Mayor Tim Kelly's veto letter dated December 13, 2022.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Planning item B, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 1109 Fairview Avenue from UIX4 Urban Industrial Mixed-Use Zone to URM3 Urban Residential Multi-Unit Zone.
Councilwoman Knoll. I have a motion to approve. Second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries on final reading. Ordinances on final or first reading this evening. Planning. Item A. Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to lift condition numbers 3 and 4 and to amend conditions numbers 1 and 2 of ordinance number 13821 for the properties located at 6620, 6624, 6628, 6632, 6636, 6640, and 6644 Sand Switch Road, subject to certain conditions.
Councilwoman Hill.
Discussed in the planning and zoning meeting today, the applicant does wish to withdraw this, but we are open to having a presentation if there is opposition present.
Thank you for that. Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Do you wish for a presentation? We have an applicant with no opposition.
No, I would like to move to withdraw.
Have a motion to withdraw. Have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item is withdrawn. Thank you, sir. Item B, Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone properties located at 1820 and 1824 Jenkins Road, together with 3 unaddressed parcels in the unopened 1800 block of Pine Street from R1 residential zone and R5 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse to lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? We have an applicant with no opposition. Dr. Burrs.
Mr. Chair, this is in your district, and since there's no opposition, I move approval.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries on first read. Item C, Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 3917 Lightfoot Mill Road from R1 residential zone to R2 residential zone.
Councilman Hester. Hit your light for me, please, sir.
Point of order, approve.
First of all, let me ask if we have an applicant. We have an applicant. Do we have any opposition? Sir, we do not have any opposition.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Have a second? Who seconded that for the record, please?
I'll second it for the record.
Thank you, Councilman Henderson, for the record. I did hear several whispers on this side. Thank you for that. Item carries. Item D, Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone part of a property located at 4065 Kane Lane from R1 residential zone to RT1 residential townhouses zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilman Hester, I have an applicant and I have no opposition.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve with a second. Several questions, comments before we vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Item E, please. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone properties located at 420 through 422 East 16th Street from the southern part of the property to URM3 and the northern part to UCX3.
Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Madam Vice Chair, I have no applicant, no opposition.
Move to defer until January 24th.
I do have a motion to defer until January 24th. I do hear a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item is deferred until January 24th. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item F, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone properties located at 2525 William Street and 257 West 26th Street from UGC Urban Residential Zone with conditions pre-8/30/22 to UGC Urban General Commercial Zone post-8/30/22, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Madam Vice Chair, you have the floor. I have applicant with no opposition.
Yes, I want to thank the applicant for taking the time to speak with the community and come to a good consensus. So with that, I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item G, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 1622 Branch Street from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse or lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll, if you'll hit your light for me. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the applicant here?
I have no applicant and no opposition,
No
ma'am.
opposition. Okay, so I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Item H, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone part of a property located at 1001 Macaulay Avenue from C3 Central Business Zone with conditions to UCX5 Urban Commercial Mixed Use Zone.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll, I have an applicant and no opposition.
I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion from Dr. Burrs. Thank you. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. I, Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone properties located at 612 Dotson Avenue and an unaddressed parcel in the 600 block of Dotson Avenue from R2 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse or lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll, I have an applicant and no opposition, or no applicant, no opposition.
So I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Item J, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 2314 East Main Street from C2 Convenience Commercial Zone to C3 Central Business Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Hill, we have an
Move to
applicant
approve.
and no opposition. I hear a motion to approve with a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Thank you. That concludes our zoning cases this evening under Public Works. Madam Clerk, item K, please.
An ordinance closing and abandoning a portion of the unopened right-of-way adjacent to the 1800 block of Fairley Street as detailed on the attached map, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Knoll, this is in your district. Item K.
Second.
Thank you. We did cover this in Public Works Committee. I have a motion to that motion and a second. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, under resolutions, we have several appointments to the Tree Commission by the mayor. If you would please read items A through G, and without objection from council, we will take those as a package.
Item A, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's reappointment of Michael Stroke to the Tree Commission for a term beginning on May 15, 2022, and ending on May 14, 2026. Item B, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's reappointment of Craig Walker to the Tree Commission for a term beginning on June 24, 2022, and ending on June 23, 2026. Item C, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Christina Gibson to the Tree Commission for a term beginning on January 11, 2023, and ending on January 10, 2027. Item D, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Christina Shaneyfeld to the Tree Commission for a term beginning on January 11, 2023, and ending on January 10, 2027. Item E, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Christy Kraus to the Tree Commission for a term beginning on January 11, 2023, and ending on January 10, 2027. Item F, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's reappointment of Rocky Chambers to the Tree Commission for a term beginning on January 11, 2023, and ending on January 10, 2027. Item G, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Doug Fisher to the Tree Commission for a term beginning on January 11, 2023, and ending on January 10, 2027.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion for items A through G. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Items A through G, appointments carry. Are any of those members happen to be in the audience with us this evening? They were appointed to the Tree Commission. Well, we'd like to thank you for your service to our city, and we appreciate your stepping up and serving in that role. Madam Clerk, Parks and Outdoors, item H, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Parks and Outdoors to accept the donation from AstroTurf Corporation for the Jim Frost Stadium conversion of a natural grass field to synthetic turf as detailed in the attached donation and funding agreement for the city payment of $82,500 for other materials and project requirement fees for the donated value amount of $465,106.
I have a motion to approve. I hear several seconds to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? Councilman Henderson, I do see your light, sir.
I was gonna make a motion to approve, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. We do have a motion on the floor. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Under planning, item I. Madam Clerk, please.
A resolution authorizing the director for the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Regional Planning Agency to enter into an agreement with RCL Code to prepare a real estate and housing needs market study for the Chattanooga-Hamilton County area in the amount of $83,597 plus a 10% contingency for a total amount not to exceed $84,000.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Just a quick verification. Karen, that is coming out of the reserved funds for RPA, correct? Thank you very much. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Item J, Madam Clerk, please.
A resolution approving a new special exceptions permit adding partners for a liquor store located at 9207 Lee Highway.
Dr. Burke.
Move approval.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
1 no. Thank you, Councilman Henderson. Under police, item K, please.
A resolution authorizing the chief of the Chattanooga Police Department to apply for and, if awarded, accept the State of Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Program FY 2023 Violent Crime Intervention Fund VCIF grant for the purchase of software and equipment for law enforcement improving crime prevention for a grant period beginning no earlier than March 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2025 for an award in the amount of $1,631,583.
Councilman Henderson,
Mr. Chair, move approval.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Under Public Works, item L, please.
A resolution creating the wastewater department as a new department of the city of Chattanooga funded by the existing interceptor sewer system budget and reporting to the chief operating officer.
Councilman Hester,
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item M.
A resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Mark D. Heinzer, P.E., as the city of Chattanooga's interim administrator for the wastewater department.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Is Mr. Heinzer here? There he is. Congratulations. That concludes our resolutions and ordinances for this evening. We'll now move into purchases. I believe we have 9 purchases that were sent to us last week for review. Opportunity to ask questions then, and obviously this afternoon as well during our 3:30 agenda session. Ms. Satterfield, good evening.
Good evening. We have 9 purchases recommended for approval this evening. First, from the Fleet Management Division, Public Works. This is a one-time purchase of 2 International HX 620 tri-axle dump truck chassis for the Street Maintenance Division of Public Works. This purchase is utilizing the Sourcewell contract number 060920-NVS. The vendor is Lee Smith, Inc., and the total cost is $472,604.22. Next, from the Fleet Management Division of Public Works, this is a one-time purchase of 2 International HX 620/A26 tri-axle dump truck chassis and 2 MV607 single-axle dump truck chassis for the Water Quality Division of Public Works. This purchase is utilizing Sourcewell contract number 060920-NVS. The vendor is Lee Smith, Inc., and the total cost is $820,935.08. Next, from the Street Maintenance Division of Public Works, this is a new blanket agreement for washing heavy-duty vehicles. 6 bids were requested, 1 bid was received. The solicitation was re-advertised, yielding no additional bids. The award will go to Detail Experts as the best bid for the city of Chattanooga. This will be a 4-year agreement, not to exceed $80,000 per year. Next, from Public Works, this is a purchase to furnish and install synthetic turf on 2 ball fields located at Warner Park. This purchase is utilizing Sourcewell contract number 031622-AST. The vendor is AstroTurf Corporation, and the total cost is $1,149,468. Next, from Technology Services, this is a new blanket agreement for the purchase of an immersive intranet platform service. This will be a 4-year agreement, not to exceed $120,000 per year. The award will go to Hapeo, Inc. as a sole source agreement. Next, from Early Learning, this is a request for approval to spend up to $500,000 on playground equipment upgrades for Head Start centers. These purchases will utilize Omnia Partners contract number R220202 to purchase equipment from Play and Park Structures. Next, from the wastewater division of Public Works, this is a 3-month extension request of contract number 556797 for sewer line cleaning services from Sweeping Corp. of America, Inc. to allow the department time to rebid the contract. The annual cost of this contract is $600,000, but no money will be added for this extension. Next, from the Chattanooga Fire Department, this is a one-time purchase of hydraulic power equipment for use by the Chattanooga Fire Department. 3 bids were requested and 2 bids were received. The award will go to Cutter Diamond Products as the best bid for the city of Chattanooga. The total cost is $64,964.99. And last, from Technology Services, this is a new blanket agreement for the purchase of an internet database subscription service. This will be a 5-year agreement not to exceed $65,000 per year. This award will go to Streamlink Software, Inc., doing business as Amplifund as a sole source agreement.
I have a motion to approve purchases this evening. I do have a second to that motion. Any questions or comments? Before we vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Purchases are approved. Ms. Satterfield, do you want to talk about our RFP request this evening, please?
Yes, we have 2 RFP formats recommended for approval, and we're requesting approval to issue these RFPs, not approval to award any contracts at this time. First, from Economic Development and Real Property. Economic Development is proposing to lease the barn at Brown Acres Golf Course for uses compatible with daily operations of the facility. The second one is from the mayor's office. This RFP is for a developer for the airport as well as supportive services. The property located at 7725 Lee Highway is owned by the city of Chattanooga, and the city intends for the property to be converted into permanent supportive housing. And we are seeking proposals from developers to achieve this, including a proposal on how supportive services will be provided.
Thank you, Dr. Burrs, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I would like to separate these two and discuss them individually. So I move approval of the first one.
We have a motion to approve the Economic Development Real Property RFP. I do have a second to that motion. Questions or comments on that item? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? That item does carry.
Thank you, sir. And on the second one, I would like to defer for 1 week so that council may have further discussion on the details of the RFP. And I believe that'll take place next week at 1 o'clock. Is that correct?
That is correct, in the Collins Conference
In
Room.
the Collins Conference Room. I make that motion, please.
I have a motion to defer 1 week. I have a second to that motion, several seconds. And questions or comments? As Dr. Burr said, we will meet on this item. The meeting is open, obviously. Please come at 1 o'clock in the Collins Conference Room. Questions or comments on this item before we vote for a deferral of 1 week? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? This item is deferred 1 week.
And we have 2 sole source purchases to report. The first is from Chattanooga Fire Department. This is a sole source purchase from Irwin Marine Sales for the installation of 2 Hydro Hoist UL-8800 boat lifts. The total cost will be $33,563.83. And the second is from the Chattanooga Police Department. This is a sole source purchase from Aardvark Tactical for a Loki MK2 UVA robot for SWAT operations. The total cost will be $30,110.
Thank you, Ms. Satterfield. That will conclude our purchases for this evening. We'll now move into committee reports. We'll start with Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to request a Public Safety Committee meeting to discuss the quarterly park report on January the 31st.
January the 31st. Madam Clerk, will you please add that to our schedule? Yes, sir. We'll be happy to do that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Hill.
Thank you, Chair. We had a meeting of the Planning and Zoning Committee today.
Thank you. Councilman Hester, I'm going to hit your light for me.
Public Works and the Parks Committee did meet today, and we received some excellent notice from Public Works indicating that leaves and brush we picked up every weekly, and we're not only just going to be picking up brush at individual homes, but we're going to sweep the whole street nowadays. As opposed when you call and they just hit one individual home, now they're going to sweep the whole street. And you will be notified by postings along your streets. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilwoman Knoll? No report. No report. Dr. Burrs? No report. No report. Madam Vice Chair? No report. No report. That concludes our committee reports. We have 2 items under other business this evening. We have a report on debt obligation and the certificate of compliance for a liquor store, which the certificate has been circulating the council for signatures. Do you need to announce that?
I will. It is for Volunteer Liquor LLC, DBA Ooltewah Discount Liquor. It's at 9207 Lee Highway in Ooltewah, and it has passed all of the requirements for being in that location, and will be presented to the people tomorrow.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Noblet.
Yes, sir.
We now have Ms. Haley. There you are. We have a report on debt obligation for our golf course capital lease.
We do. State law requires us to report all debt obligations to both you and the comptroller's office. In reviewing our records, we realized that the golf cart lease from April of 2022 had been omitted and not reported. So the 2002 golf course capital lease is with PNC Equipment Finance LLC. It's for the lease purchase of 130 golf carts. The amount of the lease is $461,433.65. The interest rate is 3.14%. It's a 7-year lease which ends in 2028. There were no issue costs involved in this, and you don't have to act on it.
Thank you for that report. All right, we're at the time in our meeting where we recognize persons wishing to address council this evening. If you would like to address council, please make a line behind the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes to do so. And if you would, please state your name and your district. We do keep these as records and as follow-up.
Council members,
I'm sorry, ma'am, we were off 2 weeks, so I forgot one thing. I have to have the city attorney read our rules for public speaking.
Okay.
So if you'll indulge me, thank you.
All right, ma'am. At the end of every council meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public that wish to address the council. You come up to the microphone where you are right now to be recognized for that purpose. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak, and you can only address the council upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority, and not upon matters that are under the authority of other governmental bodies or agencies. Can't use the floor to engage in vulgar or obscene language, nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others, and address your comments to the council as a whole and not towards individual people on the council. You can only do so once a day at this time, and do not engage in disorderly conduct or disrupting a public meeting, which is prohibited under Tennessee law, and someone commits that offense if a person substantially obstructs or interferes with the meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt a public meeting. So having given you those rules, please go ahead.
Council members, I'm Melody Thompson, owner-resident of 3814 Thrushwood Drive, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I represent the other owner-residents of Thrushwood Townhomes. Several of the owners could not be here tonight. 81-year-old Jeannie Camp, she has COVID, and another resident, Stephen Caldwell, 67. He's also sick, and then I had a couple that were working this evening. The rest of them are sitting over here. On December 8th of 2022, owner residents of Thrushwood Drive received letters there would no longer be garbage service as of December the 19th. We have had garbage service for 35 years, and we were upset with this news. I did email and call Councilwoman Jenny Hill, and she did advise that we would have to have a dumpster put in, but we do not have an HOA. Councilwoman Hill also got an extension until the end of January, enabling us to reach a solution. Ms. Woods, manager of waste disposal, came up on December 21st and gave us some options. However, we would have to pay for this service, and getting dumpsters would not be an option since there is no HOA. 7 of the 14 townhome owners have owner residents over 65 years of age, and some are disabled and cannot get up and down the hill to the street to dispose of their garbage. We had discussed the options from sharing 7 cans, but there's really not a place at the bottom of our hill to put 7 cans. And even if we could, we don't know if we could get them up and down the hill. 6 of the owners are on fixed incomes. If we pay for a service, there are 2 rental units that have never contributed to the landscaping or garbage, and they won't pay. And 2 of the owners refuse to pay anything, and those on the 6 fixed incomes cannot afford to pay for a service. I have checked with private companies about a residential service, and they do not want to do our garbage as we either live out of their zone or our hill is too steep. As our property taxes went up this year, we would like to have a continuation of the garbage services. Thank you.
Councilman Henderson, I see your light.
Thank you, Chief. I know that we do offer garbage service for townhomes, for some townhomes in the city. Why did we discontinue in this particular location?
I'm only vaguely familiar with this issue, but I believe that Ryan Ewalt may have a little bit more information.
Well,
We
I didn't see
gathered
him back there.
some additional information. I would love to chat with the homeowners and the town homeowners after this to get a little bit more detail.
Would you please? I appreciate that.
I'm sorry?
I said, would you please?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Evening, sir.
Good evening, council board members. My name's Eric Smith, and I'm here to talk about Reading Changes Lives, which is a nonprofit entity that I started recently. It's about literacy. But prior to doing that, I feel it necessary to let you know who I am. Not that you really want to know per se, but it is warranted. I think I was born and raised here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I loved it here. I ended up leaving, joining the U.S. Navy in 1980. I lived out in San Diego, California since '82 till recently. I am happily back home now, purchased a property over in the Hickson area there. Not sure who my councilman is over in the Hickson area, but I will soon find out, hopefully. Also, he is absent today, huh? Someone must have told him that I was coming, huh? But at any rate, I learned late in life that my parents could not read or either write. And since they died, I've been thinking about that a lot for some reason. And I said, I have got to do so. What was life like for them, not being able to read, and then raising 9 kids? How about that? And I am the 8th child. I was born and raised right here in this area at the corner of 10th and Magnolia Street. There on the corner, I own a plot of land, which I decided to turn into a literacy garden in their honor. To that end, that gave birth to what is now called Reading Changes Lives Literacy Garden. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization for a public benefit. I do have some good news to say. We are scheduled to have a readers conference. This is our first fundraiser event, and it's going to be held at the Reed House. The Reed House has deemed it worthy of them partnering with us, if you will. In addition, we have partnered with the Chattanooga Public Library. So we're looking forward to this event, and it's my purpose of being here is to share that information with you, and I'm hoping that you all might come, or if you can't come, perhaps you can send some staff members, and hopefully I'm not out of order by saying that. I know there are so many rules and regulations, so hopefully I'm not out of order there, but thank you very much for your time.
Great. Mr. Smith, can you, first of all, thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Would you tell us the date and the time? And if we want to get that on our website so that we can help
That's
promote.
important, is it? Thank you.
Yes,
I
sir.
just got so caught up there.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
That. Yes, thank you for asking. That date is March the 10th, which happens to be a Friday, and the doors open at 9 a.m. That's at the Reed House Hotel here downtown.
Is there a website by chance or anything affiliated? If you'll give that.
Yes, I can give you that now if you like.
Please.
Okay, it's Reading Changes Lives, Inc.org. Reading Changes Lives, Inc.org.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Remont District 8. I'm glad to be here. It's 2023. And it's been almost 7 years since the first time I stepped into this building, and I have learned a lot since the first time I came here. It is King Week, King Celebration Week, and in particular, I want to elevate a portion of a sermon from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that he gave in 1957 after he went to the Gold Coast of Africa, which is now called Ghana. He went to Accra, in particular because Kwame Nkrumah was becoming the prime minister. He was 28 years old when he gave this sermon. Amazing. He started writing, and his companions with him, and many of them started writing so much that the officials got afraid and they put them in jail. And Nkrumah himself was finally placed in jail for several years because he was a seditious man. He was an agitator. He was imprisoned on the basis of sedition. He was also placed there to stay in prison for many years. But he had inspired some people outside the prison. They got together just a few months after he had been in prison and elected him the prime minister while he was still in prison. The thing that impressed me more than anything else the night that he was to be elected was the fact that Nkrumah walked in, and his other ministers who had been in prison with him, they didn't come in with crowns and all of the garments of kings, but they walked in with prison caps and the coats that they had lived with for all of the months that they had been in prison. Nkrumah stood up and made his closing speech to the parliament with the little cap that he wore in prison for several months. He went to say, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., freedom is never given to anybody. For the oppressor has you in domination because he plans to keep you there, and he never voluntarily gives it up. And that is where the strong resistance come from. Privileged classes never give up their privileges without strong resistance. So don't go out this morning with any illusions. Don't go back to your homes and around Montgomery thinking that the Montgomery City Commission and all the forces of the leadership of the South will eventually work out these things for us. It's going to take us working it out. Otherwise, it's going to roll on the wheels of inevitability. If we wait for it to work itself out, it won't be worked out. Freedom only comes through persistent revolt. My God, Dr. King. Through persistent agitation, through persistently rising up against the system of evil. I implore you, because many of his sermons as well as his thoughts are listed at Stanford University, and I really encourage you to dig in and excavate the legacy, the philosophies of a very well-educated man named Dr. King.
Good evening. Alonzo Strickland, city employee, ACLU representative. Got several concerns about what's kind of been taking place in the Public Works Department down at the Paul Clark. And one of these issues is about the rotation going towards garbage for all drivers. With the issues that we're having is we've been told to go to garbage. When we do go to garbage, we are being forced to stay until the garbage is complete. You got a second job, it's no concern for them. You might well say you're gonna be about to lose that second job. And you was over there for 5 days. And when you're over there with them 5 days there, you might work past their schedule. And at the same time too, if you had to call in to just say, I'm not gonna make it or what have you on that, and not able to come in, you would get rolled up. I was one of the ones was told I was gonna get rolled up because I told them ahead of time that I was gonna have to be getting off early. But I was told through the manager that it was gonna write me up on that right there. And another thing here, it's kind of been going on, it's kind of been hectic down there. You can't get no drivers to drive. Don't too many people want to drive in garbage there, all because the hours are you just overworking yourself, overworking the trucks as well, as too. And the second thing I got here is, well, this morning they talked a little bit about clocking in, where you have a grace period. Well, we did have a grace period, like from 7. If you start at 7, we got some start at 7, 7:30. If you start at 7, you go from 7 to 7:07. If you start at 7:30, you go from 7 to 7:30. But that had some change. So now they're giving you to just 3 minutes to clock in before a shift. Really, you're giving your personal time. Shifts don't start at 7 o'clock. Shifts don't start at 7:30. You should just only clock in when shifts start, not before time. Because if you're starting before time, you're not getting paid. So you're giving her, even if you've done with the 7 minutes a day, that's 35 minutes in a week. That's 70 minutes in 2 weeks here. And then you're looking at 2 hours and about 20 minutes in a month. That's been going on for years. And now you're losing that at the end of the year, that's 26 hours that the employees don't get to sit in, but not getting paid back. They had no lost time with that right there. So if so, this council, I'm just asking you all to kind of really look into it, because we don't know if that's a policy, what they got going on. They verbally just come down there and share the thought, but no paperwork has been handed out saying, this is the new policy, this is what we're going on, this is what's about to take place. All we getting is just words. That's all we're getting right there. So if you get a chance here, just really, if it has come across you all table, take a look at the policy, and hopefully that you all can understand exactly what's going on right here. But I just want to kind of stress that concern out, what's kind of been going on with some of the drivers down here at the Public Works Department. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Trina Coker, and I work a sweeper. I used to be in garbage, and it is a lot of problem in garbage where they can't keep people, it's turnover. You got your leads, you got 3 leads in the office. Why not get at the back end of the garbage trucks and help? Because on your job resume, when you did it, from the city that you're supposed to help. So help them workers get that garbage up. So people from other departments, they got their own stuff to do. We got to leave our department to go help them. And then my thing, everybody should be on that list, not certain people. Everybody. If you CDL driver, you need to go on that list. You can't pick certain ones to want to go all the time. Put everybody on there. If you holding that lead as a CDL driver, and my thing, get them leads out that office, looking at ADLs, spinning around in a chair. Put them in a truck, at least 4 hours to help the workers. You get no help when you over there. That's why you have a big turnaround. You can't speak to some of them. You know, they reaching out, but you can't talk to them. So I had to leave other drivers leaving because there's no speaking. You got people over the garbage who's never drove a CDL truck. So how can you tell me how to operate this department if you never operated the truck? You see, until they come together, it's still gonna be a problem. But first, you gotta start with your supervisors and leads. Them leads need to help their workers. They tell you what's going on, listen. All they ask is for somebody to listen to them. They don't wanna listen. You know, and I say how to make it better. Get your fastest drivers, put them on the end. You got you somebody who's gonna help pick up that trash, a floater they call it. Put that floater at the end of that route on the best drivers you got. Boom, you got two drivers. You got another one. You got another driver. You see what I'm saying? Put somebody at the end so these folks can get out, get home. They got families, they want to be at home. And then you pulling us from department to department. I don't know where I'm gonna go. I go in, I might be in the back room. I might be the sweeper. I might be garbage. You don't know where you going. And you done put in your time. I should be able to stay in my department and not move out no department. I done put my time in garbage. I shouldn't even have to be going back there. I should be able to just go to my department that I'm in and stay there. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Been a while since I've been here. I try not to come down because I have a lot to say and try to keep it to myself. But the people that have just spoken, they're telling you the truth. There need to be some kind of revamping of citywide services because it's just the way they treat us and the way we try to talk to them, and they put people in these jobs that don't know nothing really about these jobs. So, you know, as they saying about garbage, yes. And I'm coming down there, if y'all saw it coming in late. Some of the garbage drivers just now getting in. That's ridiculous. When it used to be, back in the day when me and Mr. Alonso first started here, every truck was in by no later than 4 o'clock. You know, there's still an hour of overtime because they get off at 3. Because now you got, I'm gonna say the good old boy system. And I'm not talking about white or black. It's just a good old boy system. It all depends on which side of that fence you want to be on. They need to change it. And it starts from the top and work its way down. And I know our interim right now, he's just now getting in there, getting his feet wet. So can't blame him. But nobody knows who he is. But me, Mr. Strickland, because nobody comes around. Anytime we've got 3 different supervisors, nobody knew who they is because they don't come around to the people to let them know who they are. You know, if you're going to be a leader, at least show your people that you care. That's all they want to do. Just show me that you care. And then you wouldn't mind coming to work, coming there, going to help somebody in garbage or helping somebody on the leaf machine or helping in the sweeper, wherever. But they don't get no gratitude because none of the supervisors just say, thank you, you did a good job today. They don't get those. Only thing they get just, as they say, popping the whip, let's go, let's get out here and get this stuff up. Then so if your neck can't stay, as Mr. Strickland said, they want to write you up. You got me from another department. I get my schedule is from this time, from 7:30 to 4. I should be able to get off at 4 o'clock if that's what I choose to do. Not have to stay because you're short and you don't know how to talk to your driver or talk to the people that comes over there. So we're asking, and we would have had more city workers here, but like I said, some of them were just now getting off. Some of them have second jobs that they're telling us now, you got a second job, you just have to quit. This is your main priority. If you're not making that kind of money, but if I made $80,000 and $90,000 a year, I wouldn't need a second job. I wish I had more time to talk to y'all, but my time is up. Y'all have a nice one, and Happy New Year to all of y'all. It's nice to see all y'all again.
And it still doesn't work. Good evening. My name is Ann Pierre. I'm in District 9. And it seems as if maybe I'm dovetailing on what some of the city workers have said. It's a good evening to the city council members and to all the attendees. I have come before you twice to discuss the unclean condition of the city neighborhoods. Last week, I saw 3 men picking up paper from a street close to my neighborhood. I was indeed pleased to see this action. Yet there is no indication to the general community that there are changes to the legislation or city council policy supporting the legislation to prompt citizens to join into action that will produce a clean city. The rules that I know of and the process to getting trash removed are antiquated and costly to the taxpayers. The process used to keep debris from property is punishment to the citizens and a citation to court. I and others are asking for an in-depth review of all legislation that deals with policies put in place by community service, stormwater, or any other activity that affects the handling and disposal of waste in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We will look forward to seeing changes that will help us tout the One Chattanooga mantra. You, as our representatives, have all the resources to change how all citizens see our city and know that fair treatment can be effected. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to your action.
Anyone else wishing to address council this evening?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Stacy Smith. I'm from Moccasin Bend. I used to be in the brush department. I left because I did not want to have to deal with garbage. It's unfair for people in other departments have to be made to go over there because of the staff and how they treat folks. They can't keep anybody in garbage. You can't keep nobody in garbage if you're treating them bad and you're talking to them with disrespect. You want them to respect you, but you're not respecting them. It don't work like that. That's why they have a big chaos. Garbage, out of all the years of us having garbage, this is the worst. This is the worst. It's sad when you have a department where everybody want to get out of this one department. When there's a turnover like that, start looking at supervision. Because supervision is awful. It's disrespectful. You do not hold a CDL drive, a license, so you don't even know how to operate the vehicle. And you want to treat people, and your thing is to treat the drivers bad and talk to them any kind of way, and they're supposed to accept that. And then when they bring people over there out of their department, they don't show them what to do. They just give them a map and tell them to go do it. But then you want to make them stay when they're getting half trained. They're not being trained correctly. And if something happens, they want to blame it on the driver. But don't nobody want to take accountability and supervision. It starts with that supervisor. Then work your way down. Because like she said, there's 3 of them come out of the garbage truck. They're just sitting in there. Their job, part of their job is to whoever's out, they're supposed to get out there in that truck and drive. That's part of their job. But then they're not making them do that. So it's chaotic over there in garbage. Nobody wants to help. Nobody. You're pulling everybody out of their department, so everybody else getting behind on their job, what they're supposed to be doing. Brush, the leaves, concrete, all that, they're getting behind because they can't keep drivers in garbage. And if it's a problem, that's something needs to be done. It needs to be done. That's a serious situation. And that's the #1 top priority. It makes no sense. None. That's why I transferred over to Moccasin Bend, so I don't have to deal with it. Thank you.
My name is Travis Witherell. This is the first time I've ever been in front of you all. I do work in the garbage department, and I've been there 3 years as of November 9th of 22. And I'm not going to say I'm the best driver, but I'm one of the best drivers. I'm not here to brag on that. I'm dedicated. I'm there every morning. I give 110%. They know this. I go over and beyond for them. I really do. I'm not just sitting here telling you that. I really do. They know this. I had a complaint on a general manager. It was through under the bus. Told not to bring that nowhere else but up to them. Don't take it nowhere else. Come to them with a supervisor. So if I can't go to my union rep or to you all, who do I go to? Don't take it, but bring the supervisor with me to them. So my name I'm not crazy, I'm not stupid, I'm not slow. I understand what you're doing and what you're saying to me when you say these things. So I've been trying to get out of garbage for the last 2 years. I applied for a job. I was home for 4.5 months, asking Rick Austin, Rashonda, why am I not being moved? So finally, I went to Rashonda one day. I said, if you're not going to move me, keep me, because I want out. Then I applied for another job, which was the leaf truck slash street sweeper. I was lied on and told that I turned the job down. The HR manager told me that Rashonda told her I turned the job down. Me and the HR manager went in front of Rick Austin, and he said he couldn't have turned the job down because he never applied for it. I never applied for it. Then I went back and I applied for another job. I didn't get it. She said the job was on the board, and I didn't get it. Now I'm applying for another job. Came off the board October the 19th of last year. I've been on them continuously till I finally got an interview in December. They just interviewed some other people yesterday. I want my opportunity to move forward. I think I deserve that. I give them 110%, but like I told them, I don't mind going back to help, but don't hold me back to things that I think and I know I deserve. I deserve the right to move up just like anybody else. Just like they came from the bottom up, I deserve that. So, yes, I'm one of the best drivers. Yes, I give them 110%. But yes, I told them I don't mind coming when y'all ask me to come to help, but allow me to do something else. Don't I deserve that? Because I know when they find out this, I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble down there. I don't care. They can get rid of me. That's what's gonna happen. I know this. But the fact is, I want to let someone know what is going on. So regardless of what they do, I'm a man, I'm gonna move forward, but you know that.
Sure. Dr. Burris, hit your light for me. Yeah, it's blinking on me. Hit it one more time.
Okay, I don't, Ryan, is it Ryan or Joda? I just have a question. I'm not sure.
It's Ryan.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see Ryan. Hey, Ryan, what's the process when people make complaints? I know it's SEIU, there's a memo. What's the process?
There's a process through the union, there's a process through the supervisor, there's a process through HR.
Well, I've heard all three referred to, and I'm not sure. I'm really asking, because this isn't the first we've heard this. This isn't a critical asking. This is, how can these people get the help? Where's their forum besides us? Because it's not us.
That's right.
Huh?
That's right.
So where is their forum?
Those are the three paths. That's through the union path, through their supervisor, and through HR. Those are the three paths.
Okay. And so I guess you all have used all those paths because it's not us. We're happy to hear, but I'm just curious. Oftentimes people ask questions and they don't like the answers. And so I'm just curious as to their records of all of that, the union. I'm pretty familiar with SEIU. So I'm just trying to figure out, is this a case of not liking the answers? Have we done everything?
We've had many of these conversations. Many of these conversations are ongoing, and both with SEIU and with our teams.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilwoman Knoll?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question. What I have just heard is that they don't seem that they're being treated fairly and impartial. So is there any reason that they're feeling that way? Because there's several that has stated that. So when you say your three avenues that they have to take, are they in order? You have to do one first and then a second one? Supervisor or HR first? Do you go in rotation with that?
All three of those paths are available, and if anyone feels that they're not being treated fairly, they can follow those paths, and we will take each of those very seriously and adjudicate each of those.
Okay, so they should not choose one first and then another one that would be second and then one that would follow third in that path?
I would encourage folks to start with their supervisor first. I would. And I think that this should be the last location that people should go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, Ryan.
Madam Vice Chair, you have the floor.
Ryan, you should come on, bring it on back, sir, bring it on back. So, as Councilwoman O stated, this wasn't the first time. We've heard from, whether they in SIU or not, we've heard from multiple individuals in public works, but we're hearing the same thing. It seems like there's a trend, it seems like there are issues
Seems like there are issues with leads, and I know we're not administrators, and we don't go over and do that work. But at the end of the day, they work like I work. And so I think they should be treated fairly. So I mean, at the end of the day, if they're coming here, that means that all these other 3 avenues aren't working. Something ain't working. And whatever's not working, they're bringing them here. And if they bring them here, that's our problem. You know, to hear it from one person or 2 people, maybe somebody, you know, whatever the situation is. But to hear it from 15, 20, 30, since I've been on this council since last year, I've heard multiple, and I know you haven't been here the whole time, I know that. But we've heard from multiple people the exact same things over and over and over. Our goal isn't to come here and hear people complain about the same thing over and over and over. But there is a pressing issue. And the more I hear it, I wrote down all of them said something different, but they all said the same thing. It's a leadership problem. They don't want to be in that department. And the fact that some of them said, I like my job. I like working here. Y'all know it's hard to get workers right now. I like my job. I like working here, but I don't want to deal with this type of leadership. At some point, accountability goes to the administration. At some point, it goes to leadership there. And this is just, it made me frustrated listening to them because these are everyday people. And they shouldn't be treated this way, especially when they're serving our citizens. So I would like to either see a report or something. I would like to see a list of complaints, a list of complaints or something compiled that shows us what is actually going on, the trends that are going on.
Yeah, well, and happy to share with you, we had back in August an engagement survey with all of our employees that really went deep in terms of our work environment, and really is a pretty good benchmark for what's going well and what's not going well, and where do we need to focus and go to. And we have that sliced by department. We can do that in a strategy, a strategic planning session if that's helpful to get into a little bit more detail with folks. 100% agree with you in terms of we want this to be a place that is fair, where people are treated fairly, and we are extremely focused on folks getting treated with dignity and respect. I think what's really important to remember is we do have 2,600 team members. And it's very hard to take a step back and see that full picture. And so happy to walk through the full picture with you and with the whole council, because I think that would be a really productive conversation. I know we offered to do that in the fall, and there wasn't an appetite to do that at the time, but very happy to step through that and what the administration's doing to try to take steps in that direction. Specifically, our supervisors have gone through a baseline training, every single one of them over the past few months, a 2-day training to really try to strengthen our bench in terms of our skills in a lot of spaces. And we can go into more detail in terms of some of those pieces, but it's not to say that there are not issues that we need to focus on as an employer, because every employer has them. We have them, and we take them very seriously, and we are very focused on them. But we are very focused on those every day, day in and day out, as a leadership team, as an administration. I know the union is as well. Our HR team is. Every layer of our leadership team is. And our goal is to work on those so that y'all don't have to spend your time on that.
And you mentioned a full picture. Honestly, I want to see a concentrated picture. I want to see a picture of Public Works and the things that they actually have going on and the actual issues. And specifically, it seems like it's narrowed down to garbage to waste services. So I want to see a picture of that and what is going on specifically there.
And we can go deeper into garbage and solid waste. And the reality is, if we back up a little bit, specifically we have had challenges. If we back up a year and a half, we didn't have enough drivers. We had a big shortage. We had to stop recycling because we didn't have enough drivers, right? So we adjusted the pay plan. We were able to hire a lot more drivers, but we haven't been able to keep enough. We haven't been able to fill enough. And so ever since then, we've been having to pull from all corners in order to staff that essential service. And that's been a challenge. And so as we've had to do that, right, it's it's not been easy. And so we had feedback from our team around how we were pulling from all different corners wasn't fair and consistent. So we pulled our team together over the past few months and created a fair and consistent way to do that. As we've started that fair and consistent way, we've gotten feedback from the team around not liking our fair and consistent and transparent way of pulling people to do that essential service. We're just not going to make everybody happy with that, and that's unfortunate. We'll keep taking the feedback and keep trying to find the best process we can. But unfortunately, we're just not going to make everybody happy with it. But
Okay, well, I'll do a follow-up email to you, but I would like to see that fair and consistent policy that y'all have for the
Sure.
fair and consistent way you're
Yep.
doing that.
Absolutely.
And also, at the end of the day, they gotta go to work tomorrow. And going to work tomorrow, knowing that you're gonna be treated unfairly, make you not even wanna go to work. I mean, I want y'all to go to work, because I want y'all to go to, please go to work. But it makes you not wanna go, and it makes you not wanna do your best. Even if you wanna do it, you just don't wanna do it because you know you're not being treated right. So, it'd be nice to see some immediate steps that could be taken. I understand that was, I remember the training, everybody's getting, training for all these different things, even down to, equity and community engagement, get Tamara in there. Let her do some equity training, help them understand what is going on, and then the follow-up, because it's one thing to be trained, it's another thing to actually do it. And I think that's the application is not, it sounds like, I don't work in that department, I'm not there, y'all, but it sounds like the application of whatever training has happened is not taking place, or whatever the case is. But we have heard, at this point, and I've only been here since last April, heard almost hundreds of people from that department coming down here telling us these exact same problems. And I know, again, you haven't been here that long, but those are some things I want to see. But I will send you a follow-up email so we can continue the discussion. Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Vice Chair, thank you. I'm
Thank you.
sensing a departmental report in Public Works.
It sounds like it, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilwoman Knoll, I see your light, ma'am.
I had one more question for you, Ron. I'm sorry.
I'm just going to stay up here. Y'all adjourn.
Yeah. You can come and sit right here if you want.
No, ma'am.
You don't want to do that, Ryan.
No, thank you.
So I heard surveys. I'm personally not a fan of surveys. Surveys are not good unless you're going to implement the results that you have found
Agree.
on those surveys.
100%.
So have those been, so from what I've heard tonight and previously, I would just like to know if they have taken the surveys. Okay. Okay, all right, thank you. So I would just like to see that the surveys that were taken, that the issues that were on there, that they would actually be addressed, because it kind of seems to me if they were, we would not have that flow of individuals coming in with the same thing.
Well, again, I would just step back and say, we got a big ship we're trying to turn. I mean, this was the first survey that has been done.
Okay.
Prior, the surveys have been done by internal audit. And I would not call them working engagement surveys at all. And so, the fact that we as administration said, we do want to know just a benchmark, where are we? And the reality is we can't solve for world peace overnight, and we know that. And as you look across the many different departments and offices of our city organization, everyone's at a different place. And so the survey was meant to take stock of that and figure out how can we create an action plan for every single space, right? And so, citywide services is in a very different place than fire and police and so on and so forth. So, the emphasis to all of our supervisors was we cannot do something and not be willing to take action. And so to your point, we were very focused on looking at the results and doing something with it. But we are not pretending that with one survey And some actions from that survey, we can solve all of the challenges that we have as an employer or as an organization. Nobody could. But we are trying to make steps forward, and we do think we're making progress. So, I hear these folks today, and we've heard a lot more folks through the surveys and through the follow-up conversations that have come after the surveys, because it wasn't just the survey. Every supervisor was asked to have follow-up conversations with team members after the survey to better understand the results and come up with more informed actions. So, there's a lot of follow-up going, but it's really just the beginning. We're just starting to turn the ship.
Okay, so do you know that the supervisor actually followed up?
We have a long list of actions.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So.
All right.
I'm taking up way more time than anyone here probably wants me to.
Ryan, hang on, I've got 2 more in queue. Councilwoman, are you?
Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilwoman, are you good?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. I am
Thank you.
fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hester, I see your light. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. As the chairman of Parks and Public Works, it's nothing like working in a toxic work environment. So I want to have if we could get together, Ryan, you and I have a heart-to-heart talk. Sure. Are we going to implement some changes? And maybe I need to talk with HR and have a heart-to-heart discussion with the union too, see if we can bring about some changes. I think it's got to start because we've been doing this, hearing the same, it's got to be true. These folks are hardworking folks. They wake up early in the morning, they work to late at night. So it's a disservice to them if they have to go into a toxic environment like that. So if we could get together, if I can get together with the HR and with the union reps, maybe we can bring about some changes. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilman. Dr. Burrs, I see your light. You have the floor.
I got a great deal of respect for what you do. You know what you're doing, and you're really good at what you're doing. And you are turning a very large ship. So I have nothing but praise for what you're doing. I think that somewhere along the line, somewhere, and I don't think it's anywhere near your level or whatever, people are being treated disrespectfully. And that's something that's really hard to measure. There are many people that are afraid to speak. I would just ask, please, that while we're turning the ship, these people that are very vital to our business be treated, because we keep hearing the same thing over and over again, be treated with dignity, with good manners. They're very important to our city. And I don't want anyone in our city be treated disrespectfully, not by you. Usually these things happen in middle management, and you know that. And there need to perhaps be some conversations. Thank you so much for what you do.
Yeah, no, and we'll just say 100% agree in terms of our team members are our most important asset. And, we have to treat each other with dignity and respect, bottom line. And that's where everything starts. So, and that's where everything falls apart.
I know.
So that's where we're laser focused, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Burrs. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Ewald. If it's all right with you, I'd like to change the subject.
It's just fine with me.
So you can go sit down. No.
4th of July.
Mr. Chairman, I want to recognize one of our residents this afternoon that serves on a board. Mr. Chuck O'Mary is with us here this afternoon, and Chuck didn't ask me to do this, and I hope it's all right with you, but the Vehicle for Hire board that you serve on. it's a 7-member board, but they only have 4 members.
Yeah.
And that's serving, and many times they show up without a quorum and they're unable to meet. So I guess I bring that up to thank Mr. O'Meara for his service, for being willing to serve on this board. But at the same time, I think it's up to the council to make sure that these boards are filled, and we make sure that these people that are putting forth this time, and they come, and that we respect that time by having a full board. So, Mr. Anderson, I think you're coming around maybe to meet with us individually to talk about board appointments and see where we have gaps, and hopefully we can start filling our boards so that these members, when they show up, that they have a quorum and they're able to take care of the business that we've asked them to do.
Yes, sir. Councilman Henderson, we have 52 boards and commissions in the city, and some are sexier than others. We get a lot of people who want to be on the beer board, on the planning commission, on CARTA and other things. The passenger vehicle for hire and others are no less important. In fact, the ones that get less attention are often the most important. We don't get a lot of applicants. We've advertised it a couple of times. It is on my list to speak with each of you about helping find people in your districts for that board and a handful of others that are typically hard to staff, hard to fill, rather.
Yeah.
Okay. Saying that.
Thank you. Mr. O'Meara, thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome, Councilman Henderson. I see no one else wishes to speak to council tonight. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.